Rapper Kid Cudi is now on the stand in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking and racketeering trial. He reportedly had a brief relationship with Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura nearly 15 years ago. His testimony follows George Kaplan, a former employee of Combs who was granted immunity in exchange for his testimony.
You know, when you follow a big story like this Sean Diddy Combs trial, you see the headlines, sure, but it's often the unexpected details, the ones that come out in testimony, that really grab you.
Absolutely. And some are pretty disturbing. We've been looking through the live court reports, especially from the Daily Mail, and while some of what's being said is really quite shocking, there's even this strange link to a Prince party that came up.
Right. So that's what this deep dive is about. We want to pull out the really crucial stuff, the intriguing bits from the testimony for you.
Exactly. We're focusing on the allegations around his relationship with Cassie, these really unsettling incidents with Kid Cudi, and some, frankly, eye-opening accounts from people who worked closely with him.
The idea is to give you clarity, some context for these revelations, without getting totally bogged down in all the legal jargon.
Right. And just to remind everyone, the trial itself centers on these very serious allegations of sex trafficking, that's, coercing or moving people for sexual exploitation and racketeering, which usually points to organized crime.
Okay, so let's dive in. Starting with Cassie, her former makeup artist, Mila Morales, gave some really harrowing testimony.
Yeah, she did, about an incident at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And the timing is just, it allegedly happened the very same weekend as a party Prince was hosting.
That contrast is pretty stark, isn't it? A glamorous Prince party on one hand, and this alleged violence on the other.
It really is. Morales described seeing Cassie with pretty significant injuries. She mentioned a swollen eye, a busted lip, even knots on her head.
And this was after she heard, what, yelling?
Yeah, yelling and screaming coming from the hotel bedroom, according to her testimony. It really puts that whole, celebrity glamour thing in a different light when you hear details like that potentially happening behind closed doors.
Definitely. And then you have Cassie's own testimony about that party. She said she really wanted to go, called it like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but she was apparently terrified Diddy would be there and wouldn't let her, or would react badly.
Which, based on what she testified next, seems like a tragically well-founded fear. She said she did catch a glimpse of him there.
And what happened?
She left immediately, said she ran out as fast as I could. She just knew he was angry, and in her words, he came after me. It really paints this picture of intense fear and control.
God, it's chilling just thinking about that alleged violence happening basically concurrently with what should have been this amazing celebratory night.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift to Kid Cudi, because his testimony lays out Diddy's alleged reaction when Cassie started dating him back in 2011, and it's deeply unsettling.
Oh, absolutely. Kid Cudi testified that Diddy actually broke into his house, his Hollywood Hills home.
Okay, seriously.
That's what he said. And what's really disturbing is the detail about Diddy's assistant, Capricorn Clark. Cudi testified he got a panicked call from her, saying she was allegedly forced to go with Diddy on this break-in.
Wow, that speaks volumes about the kind of, maybe, environment around Diddy. Right.
It certainly suggests something quite intimidating. And then Cudi described confronting Diddy later at Diddy's own place, and apparently Diddy was just completely calm about it.
Calm after breaking into someone's house.
Yeah, just said he wanted to talk. But Cudi noticed things were disturbed, like open gifts, Chanel items, and his dog was locked in the bathroom. It's just such a bizarre, unnerving image.
It really is. What does that kind of behavior even suggest?
Well, it points towards, extreme possessiveness, maybe, a total disregard for boundaries, certainly, and then things allegedly escalated.
Right, because just weeks later, Cudi's car.
It's his Porsche, yeah. A 911 convertible, destroyed by fire, arson. They found a Molotov cocktail inside, on the passenger seat.
And Cudi's reaction.
He testified flat out, I knew Diddy had something to do with it. He even described seeing Diddy later at Sohar House, and Diddy just gave him this cold stare and denied everything when Cudi asked him about the car. It sounds like something out of a movie, not real life.
It's unbelievable. And Cassie's testimony seemed to back this up too, right?
It did. She testified that Diddy actually threatened to blow up Cudi's car while they were in Paris, and that he specifically wanted Cudi's friends to see it happen.
That's incredibly vindictive.
And it gets even darker. Cassie's mother testified that Diddy allegedly planned to release sexually explicit videos of Cassie, and also planned to harm both her and Kid Cudi.
Good grief.
Yeah.
When you put all that together, the break-in, the arson threat, the alleged plans for revenge, it suggests a really scary pattern.
Yeah, a potential escalation of alleged intimidation and retaliation against anyone connected to Cassie that Diddy didn't approve of. It's very concerning testimony.
Absolutely terrifying. Okay, so let's move on to another key witness. George Kaplan. He was Diddy's former personal assistant. His testimony gives this really detailed insider's view.
Yeah, Kaplan provided some incredibly specific stuff, often quite disturbing, frankly. He talked about having to clean up hotel rooms after what he called Diddy's sex marathons.
What did that involve?
He mentioned, tossing out lots of alcohol bottles, baby oil, even drugs. And his testimony lined up with what the hotel manager later said about Diddy using aliases.
Ah, yes, the Frank White and Frank Black names.
Exactly. Apparently used at the L'Ermitage in Beverly Hills for what Kaplan termed freak-off sexual encounters.
And those hotel notes? The specifics are just bizarre.
Aren't they? The guest profile saying he always spills candle wax on everything and uses excessive amounts of oil, and instructions for a deep cleaning plus an extra $1,000 charge automatically added for damages. It paints a very peculiar picture of his habits.
Peculiar is one word for it. But Kaplan's testimony got much darker, didn't it? He talked about witnessing violence.
He did. He recounted an incident on a private jet in 2015. He said he heard glass break, looked over, and saw Diddy standing over Cassie. Cassie was on her back, legs up.
And Diddy.
Diddy was holding a whiskey rocks glass, Kaplan said, and he testified that Cassie screamed out, "Isn't anybody seeing this?"
God. And did Kaplan do anything?
He admitted he didn't intervene. His reason really kind of highlights the power dynamics maybe at play. He said he was young, he was trying to build a career in entertainment, basically implying he was too intimidated or worried about the consequences.
That's rough. And didn't he also mention Diddy throwing things at another girlfriend?
Yeah, he testified he saw Diddy throw apples at Gina Huen, who was his girlfriend at the time.
It's interesting, though, because Kaplan also talked about admiring Diddy initially, right?
Yes, that contrast was really striking. He first described Diddy as like a god among men, praised his work ethic, but then you juxtapose that admiration with him witnessing this alleged abuse later on. It really underscores the potentially complex or, manipulative nature of these kinds of power dynamics.
Definitely. And that detail about the hotel bag.
Yeah, Kaplan mentioned Diddy always had this bag ready. It contained clothes, the speaker, candles, liquor, baby oil, Astroglide. It's another one of those oddly specific details that gives you a glimpse into his routines and preparations.
So beyond these main testimonies, there were a few other points that stood out too.
Right, like FBI agent Josh Croft testified about retrieving electronic evidence from Cassie's laptops. Pretty standard procedure in these kinds of investigations, but still part of the picture.
And the hotel manager, Frederick Zimmer, he actually confirmed the aliases Diddy used and those very specific instructions about cleaning his room.
Yeah, corroborating Kaplan's account there. And then there was the admission from Diddy's own lawyer.
Oh, right. What was that again?
The lawyer actually admitted in court that Diddy is a woman beater, which is quite something to say, even while denying the specific charges in this trial, the sex trafficking and racketeering.
Oh, that's a huge admission. Anything else?
Well, Kid Cudi also mentioned feeling played by Cassie about the timeline of her relationship with Diddy, suggesting, maybe some complex emotional history there between all of them.
Understandable, given everything alleged. And didn't details resurface from an older interview with Gina Huen, too?
Yes, from 2019. Allegations that Diddy had stomped on her stomach and punched her head, so similar themes of alleged violence.
Then there were those slightly odder details that came out from the raid.
Oh, you mean the hair dye? Yeah, finding just for men black hair dye at his Miami mansion. Which, contrasts a bit with his very consistently youthful public image. A minor point, maybe, but interesting.
And that old Wendy Williams claim resurfaced too, didn't it? About her being fired for suggesting Diddy was gay.
Yeah, and apparently his former security guard seemed to corroborate parts of that story. Just another layer to the whole public persona versus private life discussion.
Okay, so the trial's paused for now, right, for the holiday weekend.
Yeah, it went on a 4-day break for Memorial Day, so it's definitely ongoing. More testimony, more evidence presumably still to come.
Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive for now, what are the big takeaways for you when you pull back and look at all this testimony?
Well, you have these really disturbing, consistent allegations of violence, particularly against Cassie. You have the alarming accounts of alleged threats and actions against Kid Cudi, suggesting this pattern of retaliation. And then you get this really unsettling, detailed picture of Diddy's behavior and lifestyle from insiders like Kaplan.
And that connection to the Prince party really sticks out, doesn't it?
It really does. Placing that alleged assault right alongside this glamorous, high-profile event, It's such a jarring juxtaposition. It really makes you think about the potential gap between, public image and private reality, especially in the world of fame and power.
Absolutely. So for you, the listener, hearing all this detail, what does it really reveal about those power dynamics we mentioned, about the hidden realities that might exist behind these huge celebrity personas?
Yeah, what questions does this raise for you about the information